So I've been busy working on the outside of the greenhouse, trying to paint and get it all done up. So the inside I haven't been doing too much lately, but here is an update for you. I turned the fan off because it's really noisy. I just had that installed today by my handy husband, who had a big square fan held up there with a 2x6 and a C-clamp. And it worked for weeks, and I think it's finally just bit the dust this morning, so he put a proper fan in there. It works much better, and it's on a thermostat, so whenever it gets too hot in here it clicks in, and you can adjust that too. So it's 24 feet long, 12 feet wide, and it's kind of built on this funny angle here to catch the sun at a certain, when it's at a certain angle in the sky. I've got closed hangers wrapped around the joists there, holding the hanging baskets up. And I cheated a bit, and I bought a few of the flowers from the store, but I did grow a whole bunch of lobelia from seed, and I poked that in quite a few of these guys, and some trailing sweet peas that I grew from seed. And in the tops of some of them are celosia? Can't remember the name of it. Anyways, the purpley one. And I just put this moss basket together this morning, but it's got a ton of plants in it, but it'll look better in a couple weeks. That one's been together for a week, and it's already got some nice red flowers on it. And then let's see, what else do I have down below? Oh, this is what I got for Mother's Day, along with another beautiful pot that my dad made, handcrafted. And I'm sure that Iris put all the flowers together in the pot inside. Very nice. I've got to varnish it, that's why it's in here. And then another beautiful one that's behind the greenhouse. And over in the corner I have some potatoes growing. Why? I just really like new potatoes. So what I've done is I started them with very little dirt in the container, and then as they grew, I haven't done this one yet, but I added more dirt and more dirt and more dirt, and these ones have had it done a couple of times, so they're pretty much almost full now. But hopefully that will max me out on potatoes for these size buckets. There's some portulaca I grew from seed there, and some cantaloupe coming up. Basil, because can you have too much basil? And some hostas that I got shoots off the sides of the outdoor ones there. And some habanero peppers. And another flower. Just bought a grape, beta grape, at the store. I'm going to try it, see if it can stay in the greenhouse for a couple of years, and then I'll figure out where I'm going to put it so that the deer don't eat it. Maybe by then I'll have a fenced yard. And lots of carnations, because my lovely little helper dumped a seed package full of carnations and it got wet, so had to plant them all. And some jack-o'-lantern pumpkin plants and some beans growing. And my ever-bearing strawberries that already have green strawberries on them. Samuel's been busy pollinating them with a paintbrush. And basil, lots of bell peppers. They're pretty slow growing. And oh, it looks like I've got a sunflower that's about to open. I started these guys from seed. and they're the dwarf variety, so they don't get too big. And got some parsley, and I got a whole bunch of seeds started here, but this isn't really the ideal location for starting seeds. It's just not, I don't know, not working. It worked way better inside. And the back row here, I've got some watermelon plants growing, some of the baby-sized cucumbers, like for eating. Those are the sugar pumpkins that Michelle gave me seeds for. They're doing quite nicely. More cantaloupe. My cantaloupe is not doing very well, but I think I overfed it, and it's, I'm going to lose one for sure, I think, but the other two might recover. And then I've got some honeydew melon that needs to be strung up. Looks like it's looking for something to hold on to here. And then my crazy tomatoes. I think I have grown maybe a couple handfuls of tomatoes in my entire life. So I have got, I don't know, 3 to 4 tomato plants per bucket. So this outdoes all of the tomatoes I've ever grown. And they are looking pretty happy, I think. There's a few of the leaves that got a little on the yellow side because I was very impatient and wanted them to grow faster. But they're now taller than Samuel. And I've even got some green tomatoes already. And it's what? Mother's Day? So we're not even in the middle of May. Where are they? Here they are. Right there. So those ones are golden tomatoes, not the red ones, but hey, I got tomatoes in May. And some regular cucumber, like the bush type. Zucchini, that's pretty easy to grow. Red cabbage. And I think that's all. Oh, yeah. Everything else got way too hot in here, so I had to move it outside. And it's fenced off with our lovely orange, bright orange fencing. And it goes the length of the greenhouse there. Peas and carrots and cauliflower, broccoli, beets, garlic, onions, romaine lettuce. Yeah, I think that's all I have out there. So the system works. It's kind of hard to show you, but there's 2 Rubbermaid totes. The bottom one is just a normal one, and then the top one has a hole the size of one of those plant pots cut in it. And I used yogurt containers to start off with and drilled holes in them, or Brian did, and then you put that through the hole and it sits on the bottom of the bottom bucket, and then you pack the dirt in it and the water seeps up from the bottom bucket water reservoir below. Works really well for plants that are like that big. They'll go, I don't know, you can go 3 or 4 days without watering them. But when they're that small, you kind of need to top water them. I was keeping things too dry because in the beginning, when I started all this, I had things too wet and I got this bad mold, and it just got into everything, and I had to throw everything out that I started and all the dirt. So I was a little paranoid there. But now I don't seem to have, knock on wood, any mold problems. No bug problems yet, knock on wood again. I found a slug in here this morning, but I think it hitchhiked on one of the plant pots that I brought in. The spacers for the containers are just your black pipe, and that keeps the top bucket off of the bottom bucket from it completely collapsing down, so that you have space to put the water in. And yeah, that's the bucket system. There was a thing on the internet where it showed how to connect them all with a water tube so that you just water one big bucket of water and it just oozes through all of the buckets when it needs to. But you can't move them around. So for things that had to be put outside, that would have been kind of an issue. And I guess it would work for the tomatoes because they're not going to be moved because they're strung up to the ceiling. But it's working so far. I just kind of lift up the edge of the bucket and feel how heavy it is, and you could kind of tell whether or not you should probably add some water in a few days. The dirt that's in there isn't really dirt. It's peat moss and perlite and vermiculite, a little bit of lime, and I've been mixing that myself. Keeps the buckets really light so you can move them around, and from what I've researched, it keeps the diseases down to a minimum too. The only problems are that it's fairly acidic. Found another slug as we're talking. Need to kill that guy. It's fairly acidic and there's no nutrients in the soil, so that's why I think I overfed things, is because I was so paranoid that they weren't getting enough. So hey, I was using Miracle Grow to start with because it was just what I had in the cupboard, and I watered it down quite a bit, but it still burned things really easily. So I went to the hydroponic store and I got this hydroponic solution. Oops. And it seems to be working really well. Plus it's a liquid, so it goes really well in the reservoirs. And what else? I don't know, it's fun. It doesn't require a whole lot of work right now. It did in the beginning. I had to wash all of these buckets, and Brian has cut holes in them all, and all the pipe, and all the transplanting that goes on too. That's a lot of work, because the potatoes obviously we started in there, but everything else pretty much was transplanted in. I don't know. Next year, maybe I'll do some more melons and more watermelons. I'm not sure how many tomatoes that many tomato plants are going to give me. They're the kind that, these ones are the indeterminate kind that will grow up these strings. And they're kind of like a vine. And you just wind them around like so, and then you keep winding them so that they have some support, and as they grow you twirl the top of the plant around the string. And these guys over here are the bush type that are only supposed to grow 2 to 3 feet high. So I think they're like 2 feet now, so hopefully they won't get too much bigger, because the stakes that I got from my dad are only so tall, so either that or they'll just have to be strong enough to support themselves. Yeah, patience. Patience is hard. I want everything to grow like right now. It's about, these are these water barrels along the back here. And you're probably thinking, well, why don't I have plants growing along there? Because that's where I keep my tea and all my garbage. The sun doesn't stay there for very long. Because of the ceiling, it kind of gets cut off on an angle. So there's not a whole lot of direct sunlight up there. And I think there'll be less and less as we get closer to June. But that's why they're all on the floor, because originally I had thought, well, I can grow my tomatoes up there. It'll be nice and toasty on top of the water barrels. But I had to change plants. So those are all filled with water, and then a little bit of oil on top to keep them from rusting. And the idea is that in the winter time the sun would warm up the water in the daytime, and then at night the water heat would be given off to keep the greenhouse from getting too cold. I worked when we had really sunny days, which in December and January were sort of few and far between. The worst was when it would rain for 2 or 3 days in a row. Overcast days weren't so bad, but the rainy days, it seemed like, yeah, there was no hope. But, I mean, it didn't get any colder than, I don't know, 3 or 5 degrees in here at worst. So, and then as soon as March hit, we were pretty much guaranteed 10 degrees at the low. So right now, I need to get a better thermometer. This is a thermometer out of our fridge, so it only goes to 28 degrees, but it's at, yeah, 21 right now, and it's not very hot. It's overcast. It's been raining on and off. When it's actually hot outside, like it's been this last week, that thing has gone right around to the cold side again. So, I don't know, I would guess 35, 40 degrees. Like, you can't be in here in the middle of the day. This is definitely like a morning or an evening place to be. But now that I have my new fan, that might change. Yeah, so I think that's about it. I can't think of anything else. I'll probably think later on that I was supposed to talk about something else, but I can't remember. It's been fun.